So let's go ahead. First step, I already created project 21. Inside this folder, I'm going to go ahead and check if I have request and gradio. Looks like I have because I've been working with those for all the projects. Next is I'm going to create a Python script. So I'm going to go here, create a new file, save this file as feedback underscore analyzer dot py inside the project 21 folder. And here I'm going to start with importing request first, then I'll import gradio as gr. Next, I'm going to get my DeepSeek API URL, which is Olama URL, which is http localhost 11434 slash API slash generate. Next, we're going to write the function which is analyze feedback, which takes the feedback text as a parameter. And then we'll create a prompt where I'm saying analyze the following customer feedback, which is the feedback text we receive. And I'm going to say provide sentiment analysis, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative, and give you the key themes and actionable insights. So next, I'm going to create my payload where I'm going to say model that I want to use is DeepSeek R1. Prompt is prompt that we have here, and stream is false, which means I want all the data in one shot. Response equal to, I'm going to say request.post, pass that Olama URL, and pass the payload. Next, I'm going to check if the response status code is equal to 200, which means everything is good. I'll say return response.json.get the response key in there and the value that response holds. If not, I say no insights generated. If there was an error or some other status code, I'll say return error response.text. Next, let's go ahead and test the AI feedback analyzer. So if name equal to main, I'll say test feedback is I love the laptop's performance, but the keyboard feels cheap. I'll say print AI feedback analysis, analyze feedback. I'm going to call this function and I'll pass this test feedback. So I'll save this. That's our Python script. Now let's go ahead here and say Python feedback analyzer.py. It's going to run that and give me an output based on what DeepSeek AI gives me back. So let's give a few seconds. And there you go. We have our output here. It thought about it and it says sentiment analysis is neutral. The customer expresses a strong positive sentiment about the laptop's performance, but a negative perception regarding the keyboard's quality. Key themes are performance, which is the policy feedback, and the keyboard quality. Actionable insights is the company should focus on enhancing the keyboard's quality and so on. So we got the point, and this is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and back to this project again as usual. We don't need this, and we need to create our Gradio interface. We have already imported Gradio above here. All we have to do is go here and write the code for it. I'll start by saying create Gradio interface, where I'll create the interface which is gr.interface, and the function that is I'm going to call is analyze feedback, which needs one text, which means I'm going to create a text box, lines 5, placeholder, paste the customer feedback here. Next, I'm going to say outputs equal to gr.textbox label AI generated insights, and then I'll say title equal to AI powered customer feedback analyzer. Description is enter customer feedback and AI will analyze the sentiment and provide key insights. Close that. Go ahead and I'll say name equal to main is interface launch. This will launch our web app. So I'm going to save this and go ahead here and run the same application again, the Python file again. It will go ahead, give me a URL, and usual. Let's see the web app, and there you go. That's our web app. And here I need to provide a feedback text. I'm just gonna say here enter customer feedback. I'm gonna say I love the laptop's performance. It's the best laptop, and keyboard is just amazing. So I'm giving pretty positive feedback. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. It's going to go and call that API, which is the API generate from Olama, and call DeepSeek R1 and give me the results based on the sentiment that it thinks about this particular statement. And there you go. It gave me the results. It has my sentiment analysis as positive. Key themes are performance of the laptop and quality of the keyboard, and it says enhance the laptop's performance to meet or exceed. So that's what it says, that I need to exceed customer expectations. So already I'm saying the performance is better. And it says improve the keyboard for even better. Always try to achieve the best, even if you have the best things. So that's what the DeepSeek AI is telling me. So now that we have our web application running, to my code and just change this prompt to something like this. I'll say analyze the customer feedback and classify into categories like product, service, price, and delivery based on the feedback text that we have provided. I can comment this out and then accordingly use this, and this will make sure that it will kind of classify it into categories based on what it is. And in this particular case, since it's a laptop, it will say product. But if you're talking about service, it will put over there, and depending on the text that you provide here in the customer feedback, it will accordingly classify that. So now our AI can categorize feedback into relevant business areas. We'll probably also need to import pandas as PD because we want to get the data frame. So for that, I can go ahead and store the feedback analysis in a data frame. I can say feedback data equal to pd.data frame, and column says feedback, sentiment, key issues, and suggested action. And based on this, I can make sure that I can track the sentiment trends and store the results in this database and visualize the changes. So that's the process for that. I'm going to go ahead and comment this because we don't want to run this right now. But this is the way to go ahead, and then your AI can monitor sentiment trends based on this data. What you can do is you can go here. Let me kill this and clear it out. And I'll say pip install. I need fast API and UVCon. Let's see if we have this installed. Since we've been doing it quite a lot, it is there. If not, it will install it, clear it out, and here I'm going to create a new app, call it app.py, and inside this, I will go ahead and import Fast API by saying import Fast API from Fast API, import request. I'm going to create my application, the Fast API application, by saying app equal to Fast API. This will create an instance of the app. Next, I'm going to say Olama URL is HTTP localhost 11434 API generate, where my Olama server is running. Then I'll create an endpoint app.post analyze feedback. Here, I'm going to create a function which, when this endpoint hits, it's going to call this. It's going to pass the data with the dictionary, and the prompt is analyze customer feedback based on the feedback that is provided and provide sentiment and insights. Next, I'm going to create my payload with model as DeepSeek R1. Prompt is this prompt and stream is false. Next, I'm going to say response request.post Olama URL and JSON payload. Now, that's our application. Pretty short and sweet. And now to run this application, all you have to do is, so before running the application, we'll have to return response.json.get response, no analysis available if there was no response. And then you can run using this command. So let's copy this, go here, run this command, and my application is running. Now I can open Postman, and in here create my request. I'll say this is a post request, and my endpoint is analyze feedback. So I'll say analyze feedback, and it needs a dictionary with feedback. So I'm going to say body, and inside this I'll say raw in JSON format, and in here I'll say my feedback. Okay, let's feedback is, what is the customer feedback? Let's pick the one that we have already given earlier, something like this. We take this here, paste it here, and send. This will call that API, and it will try to give me back the data once it processes through DeepSeek AI. So let's wait for it a few seconds. And there you go. We have the feedback here. It goes through that, and then it says sentiment is the feedback contains mixed emotions, as we have expected. I love the laptop's performance, but it worked. That's the main point. And we have our API up and running, and this can be integrated with your business needs. I hope it was helpful and you were able to follow along and get this implemented. If you had any issues or problems implementing this, let me know in the messages and I'll get back to you. So let's go ahead and foremost, let's go ahead and install the dependencies. I'm going to say pip install request and gradio. Okay, so that is good. I'm going to clear that out. Next, we need to, before even writing the code, but I'll create a file here, new file. I'll save this as news underscore summarizer.py. So, okay, now my file is created. I'm going to go open my browser. I'm going to go newsapi.org, and here I can get an API key. So you can register for an API key. I'm going to go ahead, enter my first name. I'm going to enter my email. I'll choose a password. Let's say this one. And then I'll say I'm an individual and I am not a robot. I agree to terms and conditions and press submit. It says email is already in use, of course, because I already have an account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. So if you don't have an account, just go ahead and create an account that way. Or if you have an account, just go and log in directly from here. It says login successful. Say close. I have my API key here available. I'm going to copy this and I'll paste it here. So I'll save this and that's my key and I have that available. And as you can see, usage, I have request use this period is 1000, resetting in minus 10 minutes, minus 52 seconds. I have no idea what that is. But anyway, it is available. I can go and call this API. So next step is to create the Python script. We have already created the file newssummarizer.py. Next, I'm going to go ahead and first let's go ahead and import request. Next, I'm going to import gradio as gr. Next, let's create our API key. So API key, we already have it here. Let me use this inside a variable. I'll say news API key equal to this API key. Next, I'll say Olama URL equal to http://localhost 11434 API generate. Next, I'm going to say create a function to fetch the latest news. I'll set the category to default technology, but you can change it when you're calling this function, and country to US. This fetches the latest news articles from News API based on category and country. Next, let's create a URL. This is what I got from the documentation for this, where this is the URL https newsapi.org v2 top headlines, category is category, country is country, API key is my API key available here. So that's my URL. I'll say response equal to request.get the URL, and if response.status code equal to 200, I'll say articles equal to response.json.get articles. So this will give me my articles, or if I don't have anything, I'll send an empty list. If not articles, I'll say return no news articles found in this particular case. Extract the title and content from the first article. So let's go ahead and get that. News title equal to articles at the first index title. That's where the article titles will be mostly. Next, I'll say news content equal to article 0 description or article 0 content. Next, I'll say return news title and news content. So I'll return this to whoever called it. Else, I'll say return error fetching news. Next, let's go ahead and summarize the news. So this will be for category and country US. As a news title, news content equal to fetch latest news. I'm going to call this function with the category and the country, and that will give me back the news title and news content. And that's what I need to summarize, right? So I'm going to say if news content equal to no news articles found, if this is the thing that I got, I don't have to do anything. I'll just have to say no news available for this category. Else, I'll say generate summary using DeepSeek AI. I'll say prompt equal to summarize the following news article. I'll give the title and the content to this prompt. I'll say provide a short and informative summary. Next, I'm going to say payload equal to model that I want to use, DeepSeek R1. Prompt is prompt, stream is false, and close this. And then finally, response equal to request.post. Pass the Olama URL. JSON is the payload. So if response status equal to 200, if everything went well, I get response.json.get response, or else I say no summary generated. Else, if there was an error, I'll say summary error summarizing news. Next, I'll return the news title and the category dot capitalized depending on and the summary that is provided to me by DeepSeek AI. And finally, let's go ahead and test this AI news summarizer. For this, first I'm going to say if name equal to main, I'll say print AI news summary. Then I'll say print summarize news. I'll pass technology even though I don't have to because by default it's technology. And I'll save this here, go back to my terminal here and say Python news summarizer.py. And as you can see, it went to that particular API, called that and got this week in crypto games. Doctor disrespects studio shuts down GTA 4. That is probably the title, and then it gave the category content, and then here is our summary where it says this week in the crypto gaming world, fans of NFL. So this was my summary that was returned back to me, or this summarized news kind of gave me back this particular news article. So based on our return statement here, we have the news title, which is this title here. Our category is technology. That's what we specified, and our summary is this summary along with the what the DeepSeek was thinking. We also have that. You can always get rid of this by just writing a one line of code where you can remove everything in between think to think closing tags and just pass this as the summary over there. But again, it's up to you. I like to see the entire thing of how DeepSeek is working and gives me results, especially when I am doing these training sessions. So that kind of covers our application here where we install dependencies, created a Python script, and we ran the script. And inside this, I'll create the Gradio interface at the bottom. Instead of testing this, I'm going to go here, and in here, I'm going to go ahead and create the Gradio interface. So I'll start with create Gradio interface, interface equal to gr dot interface. Function is our summarized news function right here. And here I need the category, so I'll give technology, business, health, sports, entertainment, and science. This is a drop down that I'm creating so user can pick. And then outputs equal to gr text box label AI generated news summary. I'm not giving a drop down for the country, but if you want, you can provide all the countries over there too. Next, I'm going to say title equal to AI powered news summarizer. Description is select a category to fetch and summarize the latest news. Next, I'll close that and I'll say if name equal to main interface.launch. So this will create our web application and launch it. So go back here, clear this out, run the application again, and now I should get an URL which I can go here, paste it, and I have my news setting. I'll say sports submit. It's gonna get that sports article from news API and then give me my AI generated news summary along with title and category right over here. So give it a few seconds. And there you go. We have our news article here. It says Chip Kelly joining Raiders as OC, former NFL head coach, hired by Las Vegas after lengthy hiatus from league. CBS Sports. Category is sports, and here is our entire summary along with what DeepSeek was thinking. But this is the actual summary text right over here available. So I hope you were able to follow along and create this web application. What you can do is you can create a function. I'll just give a demo here. You can just create a, okay, not here, but I'll add it here. Fetch news from sources NY Times technology, and this is the API for New York Times, and you can provide your API key from New York Times, add your category. So if you have multiple sources, you can kind of use this fetch news from source and then get all the sources and then summarize them and give a nicer layout for the user. So next, you can say search news based on a keyword, and inside my news API, you can say everything question mark q equal to keyword. So look for everything, not just technology or based on the category. I'm looking for everything with this particular keyword, and this is my API. So this is another API that is available. Build this application. If you had any questions or issues in building this application, so let's go ahead. I've already created a project 23 here. Now to install the dependencies, I'm going to say pip install request and Gradio. I'm also going to go ahead and install pandas, because what if your financial report is in a data frame and you want to get that out? So check if you have that. Perfect, clear. Even though I might not use it, but still it's good to have that. Next, let's go ahead and create a Python script here. It's a new file. I'll save this as financial underscore analyzer dot py, and inside here I'll start with importing our libraries. So I'll start with import request, import Gradio as gr, and also import pandas as pd, even though I might not use it. I'll say DeepSeek API URL is Olama URL, HTTP localhost 11434/API /generate. And I'll say analyze the financial report. Now this financial data, I might have the data available in a pandas data frame, or I might have just some text financial data available. And this function uses DeepSeek AI to analyze a financial statement and extract insights. The prompt that I want to use is analyze the following financial report, which is this one, and extract key financial metrics, detect trends, and provide a structured summary. That's what I'm asking. Next, I'm going to say payload is model is DeepSeek R1. Prompt is the prompt above here, and stream is false. Close that. As a response equal to request.post Olama URL and JSON equal to payload. Next, I'm going to check if response dot status code equal to 200, I'll say return response.json, get the response from there. If no response, then I'll say no financial insights generated. Else, if there was an error in the status code, I'll say return error response.text. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and test the AI financial analyzer. I'll say if name equal to main, and here I'll create my test financial data. Again, I can just provide some text like company revenue, net profits, expenses, and debt, or I can provide a data frame here, and that's why I have pandas here. If you have a data frame file, just pass it here. Next, I'll say print AI financial analysis, and I'll say print analyze financial report and pass this test financial data to this. So now that I'm done with it, I'm going to go here and do the third step, which is run the script by saying Python financial analyzer.py. It will take this data, call Olama API, and give me the results based on the DeepSeek R1's output. And there you go. We have summary of findings versus revenue performance, profitability, debt level. It has recommendations here, and it talks about the key financial metrics right over here. So success. The AI-powered financial report analyzer can now extract and summarize financial insights right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and clear it and go and comment this out and make some space. Create my Gradio interface here, where I'll say interface equal to gr.interface. Function is analyze the financial report. I'll say inputs gr.text box, lines equal to 10, placeholder, paste financial report data here, outputs equal to gr, text box, label equal to AI generated financial insights, title is AI powered financial report analyzer, description is paste a financial statement and AI will extract insights and detect trends. Close that and launch the web app by saying if name equal to main interface dot launch. So I have that. I'm going to go back here and run this file again. So it's going to run. It's going to give me an URL, and I can go here and run this. And here I want to paste some financial information. So I'm going to use the same data that I have from before. I put it here, submit, and now it's going to go and call that. Of course, you can always go to finance.yahoo.com. So, for example, Apple, and here get the reports from here, the news or research or data that we have here, and paste it directly there, and then check how it performs. Or you can look at the financial reports that they post right here in the financials, and you can get these and then copy them and paste them over here, and it will give you results based on that. You can try that out, but based on what I have provided here, if you see here, it gives me debt level, expenses, it gives me the trends and observations here, key financial metrics, and it thought about it, and that's when it generated this. So there you go, our web application is ready. You can use it however you want, provide the financial information here of a company that you're following or you're working for, and it will give you a nice AI generated financial insight here. Right here, import pandas. But if I want to write a function, what I'm going to do here is write a function, analyze uploaded financial report, and get that file. Let's say df equal to pd.read.csv, the file which is there, file.name based on this. If file.name ends with csv, else pd.read excel file.name. So depending on if it's csv or excel file, it will read that file. And then I can say financial data df.toString, and this data that I have, I can just pass it to this analyze financial report, and it will give me data back based on the financial file that we have uploaded here. So this is how you can go ahead and upload CSV files. So this now users can upload financial reports directly here. So I'm going to comment this out for now because I'm not going to use it. Next thing is to detect suspicious financial trends. For that I'm going to go here and I can write a prompt which says analyze the following financial report for anomalies and pass the financial data, and I'll say identify unusual revenue change, unexpected expenses, and financial risk. So just by using this prompt, DeepSeek AI will provide you with suggestions if there were, or detect if there were any anomalies in the financial trends. So there you go. Now you have a financial cop here. To go ahead and kill this and go ahead and I'll install Fast API and UVCon to see if it's available. If it's available, perfect, good. If not, it will install it. I'll save this and make sure that create a new file. call it app.py, and inside here, import fast API from API, import request, create my app and using fast API. And I'll say Olama URL is http localhost 11434 API generate, and then create my post endpoint, which is analyze financials. And I'll create the function that corresponds to this, which takes the data dictionary, and I'll say prompt analyze financial report for this data with the report and provide insights and detect trends. Next, I'm going to create my payload model DeepSeek R1. Prompt is this prompt and stream is false. Response equal to request.post Olama URL and JSON payload, which is this payload here. And then I'll return response.json.get whatever response I get. If no response, I'll say no analysis available. Now to run this web application or run this API, I can just call this right over here, and now it's running. I can take this open postman, run this, it's a post, and my endpoint is this one. Say analyze financials, and I need body raw JSON format, and I'll provide a report here. I need to provide the report here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a report data company XYZ Limited. This is the revenue, this is net profit, expenses, and debt. And I can send this. This is going to go to the API and call this API, and I'll get a response soon. So I'm waiting for that. And until I wait, I'll just keep Postman open. And there you go. We have our data available here based on what we have provided, and it's going to give me the financial health, the external factors, all the different information that it can provide us based on the data that we have sent. So there you go. I hope you were able to implement this API and also the app. If you had any issues, I'll run the script. So let's go ahead. I have already created project 24 folder here. Here I'm going to check if I have all the libraries. I need request, radio, and for PDF, I'll say PYMU PDF. And looks like I have everything that I need. I'm going to clear it out because we've used these before. That's why it shows up there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and say new file. And this file, I'll save as, I'm going to call it job underscore screener.py file. So once that is created, I'm going to go inside and start with importing request. Next, import fits, which is PYMU PDF. Import Gradio SGR for our web application, which we'll create in the next section. And I'll say DeepSeek API URL is Olama URL HTTP localhost 11434 API generate. Our function is extract text from PDF. I'm creating a function here. Let's say if the resume is uploaded in PDF, the PDF file is passed here, and I'm going to say this extracts text from a resume PDF file. Text equal to empty. So start with an empty variable, and then I'll say with fits.open, I'll say PDF file.name as doc, and for page in doc, I'm going to say text plus equal to page.get text, and I'll go over the entire document one line at a time and return the text. If text.strip, else I'll say no text found in the PDF. What if it's an empty PDF? Next is my function to screen the candidate, where it will take the resume text, be it from the PDF file or be it just text file, and then the job description. This uses DeepSeek AI to analyze a resume and compare it with the job description. So my prompt that I'm going to use is analyze the following resume and compare it with the job description. I'll pass the resume text and job description, I'll pass it here. Next, I'm going to say provide a suitability score 0 to 100% based on skills and experience and highlight matches and missing criteria. Next, I'm going to say payload is model DeepSeek R1. Prompt is this prompt, stream is false, and close this. Next, I'm going to say response equal to request.post Olama URL JSON equal to payload. Next, I'm going to check if response.status code equal to 200. I'll say return response.json get response. If there's no response, I'll say no analysis generated. If there was an error in the response, I'll say response return error response.text. Now let's go ahead and test our AI job screener. First, I'll check if name equal to main. I'll say test resume. I'm not getting a PDF resume, but if you have a PDF resume, you can just use this function and get the text out of it. But I'm just saying name John Doe, experience is 4 years in backend development, skills are Python, Flask, MySQL, REST APIs, and education is BSc in computer science. And then we have test job description, role is backend engineer, Required skills are Python, Flask, SQL, API development, experience of 3 plus years. Next, I'm going to say print AI screening report, and I'll say print screen candidate, pass the resume, and test job description. Next, I'm going to go ahead, save this file, go back, and make sure that I can run this file. This is our step number 3, jobscreener.py. It's running. It's probably calling the API now and passing the data to it. And I'll wait for a few seconds to get the data results back. And there you go. We have the results back. And the suitability score here based on DeepSeek AI is 90 out of 100. Analysis of the matches and missing criteria of experience Python. It talks about all these things. It's a conclusion. John Doe's experience application is highly suitable. Now, what if I go here and modify it and I'll say experience 1 year in web development. Skills are, I'll just say, remove this and just say Java, and BSc in, instead of computer science, I'll say mechanical engineering. I'll save this just to test around and I'll clear this out, run this one more time. It's going to go ahead with this new data and let's see what the results are. And there you go. We have a suitability score of 30 out of 100. Not bad for a mechanical engineer with skills that are not there. Maybe it expects them to learn because backend development is not that difficult. So why not? So 30 out of 100. But again, it says the job requires more experience than John has, and he lacks the specific technical skills needed for this position. His background is relevant but not directly applicable without further training or experience in web development technologies like Python and Flask. Perfect. So we have our application. So this is, think about it, give it to your recruiters and they can run it. But again, they can't run it. Go ahead and CLI this out. So I'll go here and say create a GradU interface. Interface equal to gr.interface. I'm going to call that screen candidate. I'm going to give the input of text box 6 lines equal to 5. Placeholder is candidate information, and then next one is paste job description here. Close that. Output equal to gr.textbox AI screening report. Title for this web page will be AI powered job application screener. Description is upload a resume and provide a job description to evaluate candidate suitability. Next, I'm going to close this and then launch the web app. Now, if you want to go ahead and add like upload functionality, what you can do is you can, instead of doing this, I can always say gr.file and then here I'll say label equal to upload PDF file, something like that, and that will take the PDF file. But then you'll have to make sure that you take that and call this extract text from PDF and then do that. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just save this as it is, go back here, run it, and it should give me a URL for this web application. Open it here, and in here I'll give the candidate information. We already have the candidate information here. I'll give this same mechanical engineer guy, no problem. I'll have the job description, which is this, and this time I'll reduce the 1 year and I'll say, let's say Java skill is there, so I'm going to say Java here and then submit it. It's going to go ahead and call that API. This is 1 year, says grammar mistake. Of course, I need 1 year, but anyway, it's gone, sent it to DeepSeek AI, is analyzing it right now. Let's wait for a few seconds. And there you go. We have our suitability score of 50% for this particular person because we have matched it a little bit more than what it was before, and it was 30% before. So think about it, handing this over to your recruiters and they can just put all the resumes in there and then generate this report for you and give you a suitability score and rank them based on how well they are. So that brings us to our next step. Modify our program. Let's go back here and I can change my prompt wherever that is right here. Let's say if I say the prompt is suggest ways, or since it's plus equal to, go ahead and put here, it will still work because it's plus equal to is adding to that. As a suggest ways for the candidate to improve their qualification for this role. So that's what I can specify. And now you have an AI that can recommend skill improvements of what you need to learn for this particular job. Next is, so this can help again the HR person saying that, oh, your skills lack, but you can apply again by learning these particular skills. And these are the suggestions that they can send. And automate the here. We have screen candidate, but what I can do is I can create a function here, call it screen multiple candidates, give the resume list, job description, and results equal to screen candidate. I'm calling one at a time, pass the resume data for resume list and job description based on this, and then it will give me the results. So this will run through this over and over again until all the resumes that you provide are processed. So this is how you can, now your AI can actually screen multiple candidates at once using this function as an API for now. Our next step, go here, close this, clear it out. I'm going to say pip install fast API and UVCon. These are two things that we need. Once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out and go back here, save this, create a new file. I'll save this as app.py, and inside this, I'm going to go ahead and from fast API, import fast API, import request. I'll create my app, initialize my app by saying fast API. I'll give my Olama URL, which is http localhost 11434 API generate. Next, I'm going to create my host endpoint, which is screen candidate. And in here, I'll create the function screen candidate. It will get my data dictionary. It says analyze resume, the resume text that we have, and compare with the job description, that we have. Next, I'm going to say payload equal to model DeepSeek R1, prompt is prompt, string is false, and response is request.post Olama URL JSON payload. Now, after that, I'll return this saying that response.json get response if there's a response parameter inside there. If not, I'll say no analysis available. That's all that you need to do to create an API. Again, the prompt, you can kind of use the prompt that we have here or just a basic one that I have set up here just to test the API functionality. So I'm going to go here, and here to run that, I'll say UVCon app app dash reload. Run that. It's running my API here. I'm going to go back here, call that API. It's a post API. What is the endpoint? This one, screen candidate. Call that screen candidate, and then I need my inside my body my JSON data, and inside here I have parameters. What am I looking for? Resume, which is the resume, and then I need, what else do I need? I need job description. So I'll say job description is job description. I can get this data from previous code that we have, or resume. I'll add that here, and I'll get my job description and add that here, and I'll send this to the API. Now it calls the API, so let's wait for it. And there you go, we have our results here, and based on what I've passed here, again, they will not give me suitability because I didn't specify in the prompt, but it talks about the skills, he lacks the technical requirements. It says address gap, he can address the gaps in his technical skills and unrelated background in the cover letter, show initiative and all that stuff. It gives me some suggestions, so that's perfect. So I have my API working here. I hope you are able to follow along and build this API and also the application here. So again, if you had any issues to what we did last in yesterday's project, we're going to go ahead and pip install request gradio and py mu pdf because you might have to deal with PDF files. So I have that. Once I have that, next step is to create the Python script. I'm going to go here and I'll say new file, this file. I'll save this file as paper underscore summarizer.py. Okay, so I have that, and inside this file, I'm going to go ahead and import request. Next, I'm going to import fits, which is py.mu.pdf. Next, I'm going to import gradio sgr, which will be a web application next section. And then I'm going to go ahead and DeepSeek API URL, which is Olama URL, HTTP localhost 11434 API generate. Next, I'm going to write a function to, again, similar to last project, to extract text from PDF, where I provide PDF file. This extracts the text from a research paper PDF. So I'll start with text equal to empty. Then I'm going to loop through with fits.open PDF file .name as doc. And for each and every page in the document, I'll kind of get the text and add it to the text variable that we have created here. And then return the text if text was stripped, else I'll say no text found in the PDF if the PDF is empty. Next, I'm going to say function summarize research paper, and it will have my paper text. It also uses DeepSeek AI to summarize an academic research paper. My prompt here will be summarize the following academic research paper, which is this paper text, and extract key sections like abstract, introduction, methodology, results, and conclusion, and generate a structured summary. Next, I'm going to say payload is model is DeepSeek R1, prompt is this prompt, and stream is false, which means I need everything in one single shot. Response equal to request.post. I'll pass the Olama URL, and the JSON is payload. And then if my response dot status code is 200, that means everything went fine. Say return response.json, get the response key in there. If it doesn't exist, I'll say no summary generated. Else, if there was an error in the status code, I'll say return error response text. Next, let's go ahead and test the AI research paper summarizer. If name equal to main, I'll say test paper equal to, this is my test paper text. This study examines how I empire dot dot dot. I'm not going to add much into that. So print AI generated research paper summary, and then I'll summarize research paper and pass this test paper right over here. So that's our entire application right over here. Again, my test paper is not that lengthy. If you want, you can also get the text from online and then just paste it here, but I am just going to leave it as it is right here. And then our next step, go here and say Python paper summarizer.py, run that. It's going to take that text and try to summarize. Now I already have few lines of text. I'm not sure what is going to come back, but if you give a proper lengthy text here, it will give you a proper output. And there you go. It still gave me some data based on methodology, introduction. I think it just made up itself the academic paper based on the title that we have given. And it creates an abstract, gives me an introduction, methodology, results, and conclusion right over here. So think about it, if you had given the actual paper, what it would give me. So there you go. We have the summary here of the entire paper, which is less than a line of code, and it has a bunch of different stuff. Anyways, so and I'm going to go ahead and comment this part out, and right over here I'll say create radio interface. Interface equal to gr interface. Function is the summarized research paper. I'll say inputs equal to gr text box, lines equal to 10, label equal to research paper. You can increase this or even have a PDF upload here. Outputs equal to gr dot text box, label equal to AI generated research paper. Title is AI powered research paper summarizer. Description is upload a research paper and AI will generate a structured summary. Close this and launch the web app saying if name equal to main interface dot launch. I'll save this, go back here, clear this out, and run this again. This time I can actually I can call this first and go back here, open my URL, and here is for the research paper. I'll just take this data from here, just some random text, and put it here and say submit. It's going to take that text and then post it to DeepSeek AI and give me the research summary for this particular paper, which doesn't have much, but still it has more than what we have created before. So let's give it a few seconds. And there you go, based on whatever we provided, give me the abstract, introduction, methodology, results, and conclusion right over here. So I have my web application ready. Now you can just go and get any research paper that you have online, just paste it here, and you can check out your AI generated research summary using this web application. And here I can say extract relevant sections, paper text based on text that we have. Prompt is extract key sections, abstract, methodology, results, and conclusion from the following research papers. So I can just get those relevant sections and ignore the other section. That's what I can do with this particular prompt. Or add more to the prompt by saying also classify the research paper into a relevant category. Example, AI, medicine, or physics, or any other if you want. So you can specify that here. And now your AI can organize research papers by field. And finally, let's go ahead and clear this out. And here first, I'm going to go ahead and pip install fast API and UVCon. So once you've installed that or figure out it's there, create a new app here, call it app.py. And here I can say from fast API, import fast API, import request, initialize the app by saying fast API and open bracket, close bracket, Olama URL equal to HTTP localhost 11434 API generate. Next, let's create the endpoint. It's a post endpoint and it's summarized paper. and I'm going to call the function summarize paper here. It needs the data dictionary. I'll say prompt equal to summarize the research paper, get the paper text, extract key insights from there. Payload is model, DeepSeek R1, prompt is prompt, stream is false. Next, I'm going to say response request.post to this Olama URL with the payload, which is this payload. And finally, return the response JSON.get response if there's a response key. If no, then say no summary available. So that's our application. I can go here and run this API by saying uvcon app colon app dash dash reload. And this will run my API here. Now the API is running. I can go here to Postman and test this API out. It's a post, and this is my summarize paper is my endpoint. And in here, what do I need? I'll say raw JSON, and the parameters that I need here are, let's look at it. I need paper text. That's all I need right now. So say paper text is, and I have some text here, so I'm just going to use that and paste it here. So there you go, and send this. It is called that API, which will in return will call the DeepSeek AI and give me a summary of this particular research paper. Even though it's short, again you've seen that it has the capability to generate more text. So let's go ahead and wait for it. And there you go. We have our solution right here. It gave me some like bias detection. It has synergy with trends. So it kind of gave me a summary of this research paper, which is this study examines how AI impacts climate change predictions using deep learning models. So it kind of gave me a bigger summary from the shorter summary. Anyways, I hope you were able to get this and you understand how this works. If you have any